Steelers haven't been ready when the fit hit the shan in the AFC North. Cleveland and Cincinnati now have their act together. They both have their quarterbacks. Cleveland's got an excellent coach, and I think Cincinnati's pretty good. Cleveland's got an excellent GM. The Browns roster's loaded. So Cleveland and Cincinnati were a clown show for the last 15 years. Let's just talk the last decade. What does that mean? That Pittsburgh should have owned this division. Now, you won't win it every year because Baltimore's well run. Pittsburgh last decade, 0 number 1 seeds. Virtually guaranteed to go 4-0 against the Bengals, Brown. 0 number 1 seeds. 1 bye. New England, when the Dolphins went sideways, when the Bills went sideways, when the Jets were the Jets, New England won their division, 8 byes. Green Bay. Minnesota goes sideways. Bears can't find a quarterback. Lions are the Lions. Green Bay, in the last decade, 7 division titles, 4 playoff byes. LeBron James, when everybody was unraveling in the East, all the good teams in the West, LeBron James, in the East, 8 straight finals appearances. Didn't win them all, but he took advantage of the dysfunction in the East. Packers have taken advantage of the dysfunction. Patriots took advantage. Now, New England, there's not a lot of... Miami and Buffalo have the right coaches, have good rosters. It doesn't last forever. Browns and the Bengals are a real football team. That's what happens when a great coach leaves. You know, Nick Saban, if he leaves Alabama tomorrow, they'll still be very good for the next couple of years because he's built a system. There's great internal momentum. But in the end, the Cowboys have never been the same. And the reason they have never been the same, and this is a cautionary tale for all people in business, there are very few outside voices allowed into the Cowboys. They're the most insular NFL franchise, even more than Green Bay. Almost every highly paid player the Cowboys have is theirs. There's this feeling inside the building, we know what we're doing here. 13 of the top 14 paid players for the Cowboys are theirs. Most overpaid, drafted by them. Most overpaid, or they've held on to him too long. The Rams, and they win a lot more than the Cowboys do. Andrew Whitworth, not theirs. Robert Woods, not theirs. Matt Stafford, not theirs. Jalen Ramsey, not theirs. They don't care. The Rams don't care. They just want the best football players. They can admit, we missed on this guy. We didn't do a good job here. Kansas City Chiefs, 3 of their 4 top cap hits. They didn't draft him. Honey Badger, didn't draft him. Offensive line, just rebuilt it. None are theirs, all right? If you look at the Buffalo Bills, winning a lot more than Dallas these days. They have a chance to win multiple Super Bowls the next decade. Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, 3 or 4 of their offensive linemen, not theirs. They just want the best football players. The best teams in this league, they just want good football players. Wherever they're at, they'll get them. They'll trade for them. Dallas, 13 of their top 14 paid guys, they drafted them. We know what we're doing. We're not interested in outside voices. We know what we're doing. We're going to pay and draft. And the truth is, Dallas has a bunch of good football players. They don't have a lot of great football players. Tyron Smith will go into the Hall of Fame. He's no longer great. The NFL just added a game to the schedule. He's playing fewer and fewer a year. So Amari Cooper is one of their rare, hey, let's go get somebody else's player. And he's their most dependable wide receiver. But CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup, and it's just what Dallas does. They fall in love with their own selection, and they fall in love with their own opinions. And I do not believe you can build a dynasty in any business without help and outside voices. Okay? If you want to be Walmart, but even Walmart now doesn't have the market share they used to. The Walton family. I just don't think Dallas brings outside voices in. They've increasingly taken power away from the coach. They hire the coach they can control, Mike McCarthy. They let the coaches they can't, Parcells and Jimmy Johnson, go. Joy with the news.
No.
Turn on the news. This is the Herdline News.
Well, Giannis had an incredible 50-point performance in Game 6 to clinch his first NBA title, but just a few days earlier, he was dealing with some intense pain. After Game 5, he He had to take a break from his post-game press conference, and according to The Athletic, during those 30 minutes, he was extremely sick to his stomach from dehydration and had to receive a fluid IV treatment. He had 32 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists in Game 5. So was dehydrated, came back to the press conference and finished it, and then had 50 points in Game 6. Nothing really too dramatic, but it does speak to just the amount of exhaustion and effort that Giannis was putting forth in this finals. If you remember last year, Budenholzer was getting a lot of criticism because he didn't play Giannis what people felt like enough minutes when they got bounced by the Heat. He had a lot more balance with the minutes across the board with the roster this postseason. I mean, he was saying like he wants everybody fresh. Like that makes sense during the regular season, but in the playoffs, you got to go all out.
Well,
which he certainly did.
Even great players like James Harden, who don't, Harden and Westbrook tend to sort of, because of their ball-centric style, wear down in the playoffs. And they don't give you the effort on the defensive end Giannis does. So Giannis is clanging that back there with the biggest guys. He always has to guard the best big. So, yeah, I mean, a couple years ago, LeBron cramped up in a game. And some of the LeBron-hating media was like ripping LeBron because he cramped. And it's like, oh, so you've never worked out. Like when you're, I mean, like whenever I hear people like rip on athletes for like dehydration, it's like, you've never worked out because I don't even work out hard and I've dehydrated.
Yeah, I mean, and you can be hydrated, like you can do all of the same things and still get dehydrated because you're exerting that much more effort. I mean, like you're playing more minutes, it's everything in your body is operating and spinning at a higher level because of the intensity of the situation.
Well, in football, there's 11 minutes of action. In baseball, there's less. You're asking the world's best athletes to run up and down the court for 3 hours. And by the way, inside, it's hot. Get on a plane, go travel. There's a reason a lot of NBA guys put on a lot of weight when they retire.
Yeah.
Because you're not burning 7,000 calories a night on the floor.
Yeah, and no one's going to argue that Giannis is not in shape. So the Lakers are reportedly on the hunt.